I want to just talk a little bit about change, because one of the things that we have to kind of come to terms with is that nothing stays the same. I mean, the only thing that's certain in this life is that things change, right? And so when we cling to the way we think it should be or the way we wanted it, we cause ourselves what I call unnecessary suffering. Maybe you're facing breast cancer. One of my friends just was diagnosed with breast cancer. Change. Or you're facing an unwanted divorce. Change. Or a child who's alienated. Change. You have to move. Change. You've lost your job. Change. You got a job. Change. You had a baby. Change. Life is constantly changing. All right? And we can't ever count on everything staying the same. We think we can. We think tomorrow's going to look like today. We think tomorrow all of our family is going to be the same as they are today, but we don't know that for sure. We could have an accident. They could have an accident. There could be a problem that we don't know is going to happen, but we do know that life is changing. It's not only difficult, it changes for the better, it changes for the worse, changes for the better, changes for the worse. So the more that we can embrace and accept change, the less we will suffer. Now, I'm not saying that we don't suffer when things happen that we don't like. We do, okay? So if I was expecting to go to Paris and I end up in someplace I don't want to be, Africa, Cuba, Cambodia, Russia, Iraq, I'm not saying I won't suffer, but if I'm not able to be flexible and begin to say, okay, what's good about this place? How can I find the good in here? How can I be here in a good way? Then I'm going to be there in a bad way, right? That's my part of the story to write. So when Viktor Frankl went to Auschwitz, how can I be here in a good way? I don't want to be here. Paul learned that very same lesson when he was in the jail in Philippians. He says, I have learned to be here in a good way. I have learned to be content. I can be here contentedly. I can be in prosperity contentedly. I can be in jail contentedly. I have learned. So this is a discipline that we need to learn how to embrace the change, because a lot of change that we experience is unwanted. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't like to change or doesn't like to see change in your life, then you suffer more because you're spending a lot of your energy resisting the change, being angry about the change, wanting to control the change, instead of just accepting the change and saying, how can I, my big circle, how can I be with change in a good way, even unwanted change? So this unwanted change, if we can embrace it and say, okay, God, a discipline that you could practice. We all have learned the value of the discipline of gratitude, right? So we think about everything. When we think about gratitude, what we're thinking about is everything that's good in our life, right? Like, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for beautiful weather, I'm grateful for, that I can still see, I'm grateful that I can still walk. So we think about all the good things in our life and we're grateful for that. I'd like to challenge you to try a new exercise with this that will help you write a different chapter when change happens. I want you to think of the awful stuff in your life right now, like the unwanted divorce, like the broken leg, like the loss of job, whatever is not good in your life. What can you be grateful for in that? When God says, be thankful, be joyful in all things, it doesn't mean for all things. You don't have to say, I'm grateful I lost my job. But what you could say is, all right, so what could I find about losing? I'm grateful that I got a severance pay, or I'm grateful that they'll give me a good recommendation, or I'm grateful I don't have to work there anymore. And I get unemployment. There's lots of ways that you can decide to write that story. I lost my job. How can I be with this in a good way? Of course, we're going to have feelings about it. I'm hurt. I feel rejected, all those. But if we make our action steps out of that place, remember what happens? We usually don't end up in a good place. But if we can take our identity and say, how can I, my big circle, my virtues and values, be with this unwanted change in a good way? It can make all the difference. So I challenge you today. I want you to write a list of everything you're not happy with, everything that's, or even just one thing. Maybe everything is too much. One thing that you're really unhappy with. Your marriage, your kids, your health, your job, your house, whatever it might be. What in that can you find to be grateful for? In Isaiah, it says, I will show you the riches or the treasures hidden in the darkness. And I think the darkness sometimes in our life can make us feel dark and make us feel angry and bitter. And God is saying there's treasures even in the darkness if you look for them. And so one of the ways of taking ownership of the darkness is embracing that sometimes there's darkness in life. Sometimes there's change, and it's dark changes. We don't like it. And we don't have to like it. But how can we mine for the diamonds? How can we look for the gold? How can we look for the treasures, the things that we can be grateful for, which can help us write a different chapter to the darkness than if all we're doing is complaining and being angry that we were thrust in the darkness and it wasn't our fault and it's not our choice, but here we are and we don't want to be here, and so we're just going to be miserable. No, we don't want to be miserable people, do we? All right, and so you have a choice. I'm going to look for how I can be in this place in a good, meaning not accommodating passive way, but in a good way, in a healthy way, right? So instead of just being a passive victim to life circumstances in an angry, resentful way.